voice that Wendy would have insisted you stay home.
I'm being bolder now.
She wanted to come with me, but she had stuff to do, so.
Be in Denver later tonight.
Pardon my voice. Oh, pardon my voice, of course. A horse is a horse, of course, unless the horse is the famous. Never mind. Because my trusty assistant isn't here at the moment, I'm going to take care of the business of the evening. Doesn't take long. Forgive me. Anyway, so this is the introductory checklist. And it reads like this. Welcome to Sacred Grounds with Dan Brady, me, your current host on the longest running open mic in a known and unknown universe. I bet if I go like this, it'll sound better. Serving up good food and fine poetry since 1972. And let's have a big hand for Teddy back there. He's our host. Thank you. I tell people to, the way to support this reading is by enjoying the food and drink that is served here. That helps them, helps us, and without that, that's the magic. Poetry of all kinds, ladies and gents, is welcome here. We respect the mic. That means by keeping conversations to a whisper, putting devices, let me get mine, such as this, on mute, vibrate, or airline mode, and keeping to the time limit. Usually only 5 minutes, but that can change if it gets crowded. I don't think we have to worry about that. Please note the streaming link, which is right over there. It comes in handy in 5 ways. You can view in if you're not here. Your family or friends could see you live if they know to do that. And when you want to hear someone's poem again, there's no problem with that. Look at yourself and see how you did. No problemo. And it's a way to put out the word, yours, mine, and ours. And this brings us to our ongoing theme, which goes like this. Never doubt that a small group of committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has, and that's by Margaret Mead. And we also have, pardon me, a theme of the evening, which in this case is home. Just in case you didn't know that it's not obligatory, but it's just there for your use and pleasure. Our feature tonight was going to be Christine, no, but instead she got an opportunity to go to a very prestigious workshop event, and so she has a Becker standing in for her who's not here yet, so we will.
Is she coming back sometime?
Yes, we've rescheduled her. I, the royal we.
Yes, thank you. Let me get the rest of this here.
Let's see. We have, Edward Pat Murphy. He's not here, right? I don't see him. He was supposed to be the keynote. He is not here. Everybody was telling me it was going to rain. So I think this is why we have what we have. But Joe Pasquale is the mini feature, and he is back there. Give him away. That's Joe Pasquale. Give him around. And then we have Melissa Miller as the last word. She's right over there. Give her a wave and around. Thank you. And then when you introduce the fabulous door prizes, one more thing. If you wish to record somebody, please ask permission. I will assume you've done that. So if there's a problem,
All right, so door prizes.
Defenders of Wildlife kindly sent me for my donations several sets of cards which you can use for various purposes. Are beautiful. The Book of Life, in case you don't know what that is. It's not like that song, The Book of Love. And then the Lords of the Air, the Smithsonian Book of Birds, in case you don't. Nice pictures in this, by the way, beautiful. And then The Town, a novel of the Snopes family by William Faulkner.
And we also have a handy dandy, probably
mysteriously used simple metal box. It's empty. Nothing up the sleeve.
And so those are prizes for the evening. And the last thing that I do
is Proposition 1, which, good evening, hi, which goes like this. Proposition 1, whereas warfare is the worst of all crimes, in that it embodies, encourages, and rewards all others. whereas the definition of war used at the Nuremberg trials is meet for the purposes of this proposition. Therefore, we, the party of the first part, all citizens of any nation, all those who suffer from the effects and privations of war, who oppose it as a system, as a behavior, as a socially accepted institution, call for an end to war, cessation of all hostilities, the standing down of all military forces, and universal disarmament. Further, let it be known that we, the people, the party of the first part, state, by our assertion at this time and place, that we stand opposed to the existence or use of military force as we now know it. So that's the proposition. We ask all those in favor of Proposition 2 signify by raising their hands. Okay. All opposed? Abstentions? Just checking.
I just came in and I'm sure you're right, but I wanted.
You can abstain if you want.
I'm just abstaining.
Oh, you're laughing. Well, nothing should be unanimous. A friend of mine said that nothing should be unanimous. You never know, you could be right. So, that takes care of it. It passes once again, and now I'm going to sit down and announce. Oh, wait a minute. The keynote is not here, so we're going to go right to the.
I mean, if that's enough.
Oh, Dave.
Hey,
Oh,
Dave?
yeah.
Oh, hi. Nice to meet you. I thought we were starting at 7:30. That's
Yeah,
right.
you're the feature.
Yeah.
So you come on. Well, there's several open micers then.
I'm willing to
This
wait.
is the feature, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry, I'm late.
It's okay. You're not really.
Oh.
I heard you. I heard him. We're in for a good one. Well, hello, Mark and Joseph. Come in and have a seat. You should probably sign in, dear. All right, so let me see who's first on the open mic. Morgan Freeman. Lord Halsey. Buck Rogers. Jesus. That takes us to our first real live person here, Mr. Steve O'Carrollin. Bring him around as he comes up.
Popeye may be the greatest cartoon character of all time since Gilgamesh and before, when the men sat around campfires and sang songs to their sheep and goats. Popeye has the secret power inside the can of spinach that his pipe can slice open like a fantastic welding torch that he can then use to swallow and suck in the miraculous cheap vegetative stuff. Olive Oil has a baby. Of course she has a baby that never cries. No one knows whose baby the baby is, but Popeye will fight to the death for his life. Popeye, the little guy with the power of huge forearms, against that slug, that sluggardy lout of a big moaning man, Bluto, who swaggers all the way into the twister punch that Olive Oil calls for, shrieks for. Popeye is always walking along muttering non-obscenities that should be engraved in gold on all the windows of all the schools of Whitman's country, this greatest of all Americas. I was 12 years old. Mark and I were on the Cardinals. We practiced before the season on some green fields next to the vast LA drainage ditches. The word was a movie star was coming to visit us. No name in advance. Would it be Bonanza or Beverly Hillbillies or what? Then an old shining cream convertible drove up with a rock-faced man sitting high in back. They said it was Buster Keaton. We said, Buster! Buster who? He looked like a giant iguana lizard. He did not say a word. It was a visitation from the land of mothballs and pulled teeth and ancient tombs of Egypt. But we let him sign our mitts. He used a felt-tip magic marker pen, and soon he was all finished and had climbed back to his poop deck and drove away. I wish I still had that glove. We got home that night, and our parents were so impressed. We were rueful and ashamed. We should have thanked him from the bottom of our childish hearts. We called it the Bonsai Pipeline. It was in the corner of the teacher's parking lot of Lockhurst Elementary School. It was dangerous. Guys would skateboard down to the bottom and then up again on the edge and down. Most of the guys came from the junior or senior high schools. The girls came to watch. It turned into a circus. More and more people, a crowd on top. If a guy was incredible, people cheered. I heard a story. A guy came down the second wall and was out of control and hit a parking bump, and he went face first into the hurricane chain link fence, knocking back his front teeth. People said that every time he breathed, the agony was awful and terrible. People loved the danger. Guy after guy would take off on the new skateboards with thick plastic wheels. But the teachers outsmarted us. They sprayed the walls with a shiny black substance that made it impossible to skate on an angle. All you could do was slide down, so that was the end. The Bonsai Pipeline again became the teacher's parking lot.
All right. Tommy is next. Give him a nice round. He's a great poet.
Mother Superior opened the door and motioned for Sister to come out into the hall. When she returned, Sister was crying. It took a few moments to compose herself, standing there at her desk in front of the room, one hand fingering the long brown rosary beads hanging off the belt of her dark blue habit, the other fiddling with the large gold crucifix that dangled on a chain around her neck. In a shaky but unusually quiet voice, she told us that President Kennedy had just been shot dead. We were to file out of class and school in an orderly fashion. She watched as we silently lined up, as we did for fire alarm drills. It wasn't until we got out to the schoolyard that some of the kids began to cry. When I got home, neighbors were out on their steps talking. My brothers were lying on their stomachs on the living room floor, watching the continuing coverage on the small black and white TV my aunt bought from General Electric, where she worked on an assembly line all of her life. My sister was sitting in the corner chair, staring out the window and holding on to her favorite doll. I sat on the edge of my bed in my room for the longest time, listening to one of my older brother's jazz albums on the portable record player, noticing every crackle and bump in the worn disc. Then I got down on my knees and prayed to a God who never listened to me anyway, until Mama called me down to dinner. Mother Superior didn't come to the door. Sister didn't cry. We weren't sent home when Malcolm X was murdered 2 years later. Bobby Kennedy and Martin Luther King were killed in my junior year of high school. By then, I was part of a small group of radicals who published a newsletter condemning the Vietnam War, the draft, and the school rule that our hair had to be kept short. I was particularly upset because Father Cox pulled me into his office one day and clipped the back of my hair, which he said was too long. We printed the newsletter on the Mimeo machine in the Student Senate office. This boy I had a crush on let us use it when no one was around. One day the principal announced on the loudspeaker system that everyone involved with the newsletter would be immediately expelled if he caught them. He said that anyone who had a copy should turn it into his office so it could be properly disposed of. He could eradicate all the copies at the school, but he couldn't destroy my rebellious spirit. An honor student, I was seated on stage graduation night. When my name was called, I was supposed to kneel and kiss the ring on the bishop's finger. He was sitting on a gold throne. Instead, I grabbed the certificate from his hand, walked to the front of the stage, and flashed a peace sign. The priest, the bishop, could do nothing. They had failed. Resistance was not futile. As I left the auditorium and headed out to meet my family, I realized that I didn't know where I was heading in those turbulent times. But it wasn't where they wanted me to go. That I knew for certain. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Tommy. I love the history. Owen Dunkel is next, and then we got Edward, Letitia, is it Maggie? Maggie? Oh, hey. And then P.W. Covington. Is that Covington? I got it right.
Okay, thank you. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
It's called Sonnet, Sunday 7. It was in out of our time I jumped from the train. Another Sunday, rain made my eyes blur. Speak of mine to the sun-filled chimes, an hour or so to gain, of drinking again in Spain. Climbing up gargoyles to sublime excesses of the cap and bells. Gaudiamus igitur. All sing to the sea. We wait for ants to cast their spells here and there. Leaves of green peas stare upward with eyes of stars as half-mad tenants pour from bars. Sonnet, Sunday Setting. I am between a vague promise to the park of trees and paths, out of the reach of the wrath of Muse Calliope's sharper demises, to dog-eared flowers and surmises of her happy vanity that hath more thorns and thistles than math. Than love I love that has more surprises than a beautiful girl who has written to her love-proud verses, charging across the page. She is smitten with rage and grief, curses trying to please God's crumpet. Fair princess, fair maiden, thou strumpet. Christian Sonnet. In the year of crowded fame and cacophonous voices, 2002, ending on its final funny duo of joy and overwork. Scant acclaim went riding out on sunny flames to slushy weather, fog and dew. Together on the street, Christian and Jew, riding together on their same differences. Her hair long, his too short, bitching together both wrong. She practical, he a snorting skinhead. Erect together the day long, a benighted couple, they I turn from, the sky is gray. Days of dark-eyed Buddha. Quail and seagulls walk together around the gray clouded sky, afar off to westward Hawaii, afar off eastward to China. Cocky freighters, lonely tankers, give rise to new areas of the anterior mind, wondering how some of these men keep their proud, lonely vigils to themselves. Their vision of slickers, oars, and dory boats speak loudly, proudly, talking of kimonos and martini-drinking mermaids and roaring tattoos of some World War II war bride. Yes. Hypnotic waves stand still today as they did yesterday, as a couple, like the small couple on the top of a wedding cake, crossed the lawn to evermore and yesterday. A quiet salute to the soothing vacuity of impending Christmas and roistering New Year, and give way to blustery, windy January and the impenetrable gray sky that can last forever. I am searching for a metaphor to be alive in the dust of wintry snowfall. Sorcery. A chick looks heavenward towards Michelangelo's ceiling of David. The sky needs fixing, she commands. Herod. His mind set to matter causes the magic ceiling to make matters worse, to dance, a mild tremor of accusation. Brainwashed. The gray sky that can last forever and forever. All day long people out putt-putting and dancing lightly in a curious combination of hockey and ballet or an amusement park ride. Frenchmen from Renoir and Syrah, almost affectionately bumping into each other. Like social graces that laugh louder and louder, taught to me long ago by Mrs. Galatz at her moody, dreamy April love-light cotillion. Oops, I said that in roistering, dirty. Torn shirts, San Francisco. Men climbing up the clouds into the deadening silence of the sunny, stormy late afternoon.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Go and don't go. All right. Edward, my cue.
Yeah.
Then we have Letitia, Maggie. Right, Maggie, right? Okay. Then PW, Stephanie, Hal, me, and Stavros. All right. Good job. We have a surprise for you, just so you know.
Dante's quill pen route. The inelegance of our dell is a living hell, but it's on some level of Hades in a back passage that Dante missed. He took the quill pen route. And now I'll streak one called Apple Tree in November. What was finished, celebrated, is almost finished again. My life is your story. Your story, a submarine skin envelope holding my story in, worlds, walls, dividing my story, your life. The wheres and whens keep turning on a spinning plate, half dipping into the Pacific Ocean, and we on this tilting, great stage where great ships founded with their great sentences of life and death. Unfinished symphonies, for the future out there is our audience who have driven in to watch, thinking that today they have cast off the overcoat that stifled thought for us, not realizing that thought was the marriage of these rocks of experience, this broken glass, these diamonds in exciting shapes, the rising sun fallen where rainbows arch over beehives. Ugly is just a short, sharp paradigm shift. Praise for a red tractor, dancing for chump change, death and epistemological rupture. Between lust and first folly is misspoken weeping. Ice skater on the glass of love, apple hooking into taste as it pours from the roofs of mouths. Next is string heart. I'm hitched to a string, the shape of a heart. If I pull it or yank it, it comes apart. My past fell apart, it fell on the floor. Do nothing, be smart, you'll follow your heart. Thank you.
Letitia. Now, just hold it a minute. She's a new person here. This is her first time here. So we have to give the treatment. People know that we yell, scream, holler, pound the table, cheer, etc. to welcome you here. Animal noises.
Whoa.
There you go. Welcome, my dear.
Thank you very much. And if you know, I am touring the Bay Area, so I finally hit sacred ground. It's on my list. Thank you.
Maybe we should raise that up a tiny bit, and I'll frame you nicely, as they used to say in the old business.
This is not my first time at SF, so I got to be the lucky feature at North Beach earlier this year, so I'm happy to be at sacred ground.
Welcome.
Thank you. I wasn't planning to do this particular poem, but the theme is home, and this is very apropos. It is written by Nathan Lloyd James, my pen name. Out in the park, you spoke of kings and queens. While you were in jail, you wrote a love poem for your wife, but she died before you read it to her. Out in the park, you spoke of better days, when the leaves are not your ceiling, the night air, not your blanket. Out in the park, you spoke through whistling missing teeth under the next tree. Your sleeping brother has no time for your poetry. Out in the park, the grass is greener when not pissed on. Out in the park, it is my bedroom too. Okay, back to Letitia. Passage. I found myself trapped in a struggle between happiness and depression, caught in murk and mud, searching for a way out, praying my stuckness will get shifted. Bricks are my weapons, breaking through glass houses, holding me within safe places. Foghorn is my light to navigate through the blinding mist of white blackness. Paint peeling plastic ore drags my boat, threatening to leak upon dormant water. Lake calling, blast baying, glass shattering, release me from my self-imposed metal, forcing me to choose a new trail, a new attitude, a new aura. Prompting a limitless drive to overcome, pushing boundaries released from a delicate, bursting bubble, progressing through my meandering. Got to have faith in myself to accept the challenge, to build upon the cascading blocks, of breaking through the fog, accepting the call in the darkness to guide me in the direction of peace, allowing the rudder of life to right my path. Discovering the dirt, supporting my stride, to give me the fortitude, to release my stuckness, forging forth not to the end of my rope, but to confidently trust each stepping stone brings me closer to self-respect, aiding a fulfillment of grace. Breath release gives relief of pent-up anguish, producing calmness, encouraging confidence, reminding me, I am willing, I am strong, I am loved. Thank you. I forgot to mention Out in the Park by Nathan Lloyd James just got picked up and is being published in somebody's trash, a book of about homelessness, and the books go out to the homeless, and
The street sheet?
and they give them to the homeless people, and homeless people sell the books, and they have to keep them.
Oh, so it's like the street sheet, but it's books.
It's books.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm very honored to have this piece by Nathan Lloyd James. Thank you.
Oh, can you put your pen name on here so when I write it up, I attribute it correctly? different way. All right, and let's see, wait a minute. Oh, we have another new individual in the house. This is her debut at Sacred Grounds. So we're going to do the same kind of modest welcome for Maggie. In case you didn't feel welcome, Maggie.
Okay. Well, Dan wanted me to read. I've never written poetry, so I'm going to read a couple from one of my favorite poets, Owen Dunkel. This is his book, one of his books, I guess, Tide Sung Outcry.
Yes.
It's kind of his dog-eared copy. And we got this, or Joe got it, like, I think about 6 months ago, and I'm going to read a couple of my favorites. Okay, this one's called Out. The glorious sun ran amok outside as the cunning waves and the sparkling blue and turquoise sea told me the truth and held me, held my hand, yes, held me, as I lay on the beach watching the sunbathers, those fat grand inquisitors and their children frolic like sandpipers running in circles, running here, falling down there, circles, a diagonal line going somewhere, the parents hope, the tides of encouragement, the foam of astonishment. But there only the sands can hide and carouse its way to heaven like a wayward angel. All right. Owen. Okay, this is Sonnet 2. I don't know if there's a Sonnet 1, but I'm going to read Sonnet 2. Okay. The way I should have taken, away and wise, I took today in a profound sort of way, in a funny way, the heart forsaken and feelings quieted by the unshaken, quiet form fruit. Chances we may see through the air, we say we are of breathing lust, awaken the rare tooth of raw soot, of the penetration of 20 valises, laden with eons of our raw root. We eschew the strength of heavy sneezes. We swarm through the air like bees and flies, our hungry hearts open to truth and lies. Oh, no.
And now, the graceful and dulcet tones of a respected member of the poetic community. My long-winded introduction concludes with introducing P.W. Covington. Bring him up.
Thank you. It's always great to be here when I can. In town taking care of some business with this new book.
Maybe raise the mic up and go.
Oh, I can project a little more too.
All right, good.
Laundromat Blues. Friday night, 7 or so, washing laundry, t-shirts, and boxer briefs, coin operated, clink, clink, clink. Fat young mother, so beat, so beautiful, they don't even know it. So blessed, so magic, universal. They tell their only babies to leave the man alone as they scoot on the floor before the Dr. Pepper machine. I am the only man in this place, so I must be danger. I must be lethal. I must be washing the cat pee from my yellowing white undershirts, then into the dryer, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. I'm sorry, young mothers, for defiling this cleaning place, this sacred space with my dirty laundry, with my searching smile. So I crossed the street for some Thunderbird wine and bide my time outside behind the laundromat. Glug, glug, glug. Removing stains is never easy. I thought I saw Herbert Hunky's reflection behind the big silver clothes dryer in sheet metal sheen, but it was only me and angelic beat toddlers and coin-operated redemption and cheap white wine. This piece is also in this collection, but it's easier for me to read because I'm blind. Off of here. It's called It's Time to Write a Poem.
All right.
It is time to write a poem. A poem about riding a trailways bus through Alabama. A poem about Piggly Wiggly state policemen and flags and grits and backyard bred attack dogs, gun shows, and Southern pride. It is time to write a poem because what we've been busy with isn't working. These guns and prisons, banks and borders, these laws and churches, immigration mazes, religious hatreds, must have all seemed like good ideas at some time. All of these wars. When I see your face in the morning before the news of the day comes charging in, before the bodies roll in on the digital tide, before the pragmatism of decades takes hold, it is time to write a poem. It's time to write a poem, to mail away to foreign lands, to send off to the moon, to the planet Mars, to the core of this earth, to the cosmic Colorado rubbish man, because prayer doesn't do the things that it used to. It is time to commit poetry. It's time to write a poem of witness, a transatlantic yowl, a howl, a yes, yes, y'all. And it don't stop. It is not the time for ballads. I can carry no corrido but my own. It is time to write a poem, because it ain't coming on TV. It's time to write a poem today, on a Wednesday, or on a Saturday night, drunk or sad or covered in sweat, shivering on a park bench or locked up in detention with tubes and machines hooked up to my heart on our last good day together, before opening the condom wrapper, before paying the toll, before making the reservations. It is time to write a poem. It's time to write a poem because we won't last forever. And no one else is writing about the smolder in your eyes. Because all of those millennial promises, they never came true. And 17 years is long enough to wait. It is time to write a poem. It's time to write a poem for Highlights magazine, for children in medical waiting rooms, a poem for Sky Mall magazine, glanced at once at 30,000 feet, a poem folded into a little box and sold from a cigarette vending machine. It's time to write a poem. Use only what's in your pocket. Use only what you know is yours. Poetry isn't shit most days. But today, while we still can, it's time to write a poem. Thank you.
Thank you. I wish my voice were better. I'd be going on and on about that, but you know how I am. Stephanie Manning is next. Give her a round, please. than me.
Hello, everybody. It's good to be here.
It is good to be here.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Okay, so here's the 3 little poems. Old men, old congressmen, congressional dropouts braved the harikari of their careers, spouting negative slurs against Trump, spouting neg slurs, bordering on truth, but missing the bullseye obvious of wrongheadedness as the country swirls, thanks to Trump flushing us down on our long fish swim out to the dying ocean. Trump, with his bodyguards around him, paid to protect him, looked to the 4 directions and see nothing. Paid to see nothing, hear nothing, say nothing. This poem is to them. Bodyguards, look to your consciousnesses. You have a choice who you work for. Do you work for him or work for the truth? The sacred, holy, elusive truth. How much can I pay you to work for the truth? It is the people who pay you. How about you defend truth and not lies and distortions? How about you work for the people who pay you? The river runs wide, the river runs deep. Do you see the river? Salmon swim upstream, and salmon, tough as it is, swim upstream. Can you be the salmon? Can you swim upstream? Join with truth. Work for the people. See the river. And this one is called To Melania. Dear heart of the victims, come, help me hang the wash on the line out back. Come, help me lift that crate of oranges. Help me cook 150 portions of chicken nuggets and fries. Help me decorate the salad bar and serve from the hot bar. Afterwards, we will pick up, put away, wash dishes, and clean. You still have a back, so use it. You still have a spine, so find it.
Yeah.
And this last one's called Toxic Fog in New Delhi, and that was in the news today about, we have fog, but they have fog, and it's poisonous, really polluted fog. Toxic fog in New Delhi, can't breathe, don't go out, save the children, air pollution supreme, emphysema future, the kitten's eyes are weeping, as old ladies fall and gentlemen wheeze, and people, the cows, colored cotton, and toxic factory conditions, doomed by the almighty dollar. Truth creeps across the bay like that distant rain shower, and the air is everywhere, strangulating the people who just want one clear, cleansing breath called truth to save them.
Now Hal Robbins, give him a nice round as he comes up.
This poem addresses the theme of the night in the second line of the second stanza. The Fairies by William Allingham. Up the airy mountain, down the rushy glen, we dare not go a-hunting for fear of little men. Wee folk, good folk, trooping all together, green jacket, red cap, and white owl's feather. Down along the rocky shore, some make their home. They live on crispy pancakes of yellow tide foam. Some in the reeds of the black mountain lake, with frogs for their watchdogs, all night awake. High on the hillside their old king sits. He's grown so old and grey, he's nigh lost his wits. With a bridge of white mist Columkill he crosses on his stately journeys from Slave League to Ross's, or going up with music on cold, starry nights to sup with the queen of the gay northern lights. They stole little Bridget these 7 years long, When she came down again, her friends were all gone. They took her lightly back between the night and morrow. They thought that she was fast asleep, but she was dead with sorrow. They have kept her ever since, deep within the lakes, on bed of flag leaves, watching till she wakes. Up the rocky hillside, through the mountains bare, they have planted thorn trees for pleasure here and there. Is any man so daring as dig one up in spite? He shall find the thornies set in his bed at night. Up the airy mountain, down the rushy glen, we dare not go a-hunting for fear of little men. We folk, good folk, trooping all together, green jacket, red cap, and white owl's feather.
Oh, that's neat.
All right, this brings us to me, which I like to say it's not my fault. I didn't do this. All right, there we go. These are all short and part of a set that was printed out. A lot of poems finally got done, printed out, and this is the final, theoretically the final that we read, or else you never do that. The first one is believing in. What do I believe in besides the repetitive in-breath of the universe? After all, without that going on, nothing else would matter much after a few minutes, that is. So, belief for me is that which cannot be ignored, like the sunlight, earthquakes, or war. For things like that, belief is exactly what it is, or understood as such. Thank you. And this one approaches politics. Around the corner. Time comes and goes, almost unnoticed, unremarkable, except for the changes we seem to think come and go with it. What a strange concept, which is to say, untrue. So much so that we have to invent the concurrence for our own sakes, not to mention those of others. Magicians use this feat all the time, and we, the duped, ever and always find no end of fascination with what they have us see. Truth be damned. And this is a verge, as in the verge, greens, verge. Because I have a garden in my backyard, and sometimes it's inspirational. In the garden, a large brown snail eases up on the lily's stem. Sunlight gleams on the snow-white blossom and its long, thick, yellow tongue. The grass is going to seed all around it, and daisies take hold just beside the old wood fence, which still holds a straight line, despite its being far older than I. There's history here. The broken clay planter, the miniature rose, struggling in its tiny pot, with its Chinese designs of blue and brown, white stones and others under its base, where grass and clover manage, but small still. That's when the spider, on a bit of granite, sprints and so catches my eye. Again, back to basics. This survey approach to the garden where I too am on my way along the mean, what is who you are anyway? Well, no one will know how you made yourself up out of whatever it was you were. And though it is at least in part inferred from that which you've left strewn aside, the larger picture must be the keep of resident memoirs, resident in anyone who cares for them, you, or what you've left along the way. Thank you.
And as we've had before this evening, and I'm thankful for that, we have another individual worthy of the royal welcome. Stavros, come on up.
Thank you very much. Very welcome. So this first poem's about sort of, questioning why I'm up here tonight. I'm on holiday, I quit my job and started traveling, could be relaxing, having a joint with one of my friends, but instead I decided to come out alone, which is good. And stand in front of a group of strangers, scared shitless. So
Really scared shitless?
yeah,
Check. Just get really close to the mic, though. Get really close. All right.
I mean, making people laugh is shits and giggles, but do I do it because I like it? Or so that the hidden demons beneath my skin cease their rigors? Am I doing this because I enjoy it or because it's fun, or was I left alone in the park one too many times when I was young? Is this all just to fill an attention, abandonment, vacuum void pointed out to me by a disciple of Freud? Why can't I just be myself? Why do I have to be so out there when sometimes the pressure's too much to bear? Why do I have to make it seem that everything's okay and I'm in bliss when all my troubles have tapered to a mountain precipice? Do I sing, scream and shout just to ease my emotional gout? To drown out that looming tower of doubt? But each day I avoid it, this future Everest grows, not showing any sign of decrease. And one day I will run out of lyrical elbow grease. When did this joy ration become an affliction? When did this passion become an addiction? Do I try so damn hard so I can stop from smashing into shards? Is my need to impress the reason I depress? Why is it that to avoid a happiness regression I have to make the right first impression? Is this talent, our talent, heaven sent? Or is it just another element of our own detriment? Is each punny / poignant emotion just a product of some shameful / sickly compulsion? Is each poem I spit out just trying to fill the infinite out? Is it all just a pretty painting? Or is it all to avoid my demons, their mouths gaping? Is this exploring? Or is it escaping? The second poem's really short, but it has a an introduction. This is the first time I've performed this poem in the US. It's about US politics. I'm not American, so keep that in mind. This came about, I was in Sussex in England in college, and we were watching the American elections, and I was there with one of my American friends, Kate-san, and it came to the point in the night where it was either Ohio or North Carolina. I'd gone to the Republican Party, and we realized that it was happening. He was going to be president. So I went. My friend Kate-san said he's from DC. He's from DC. He said he needs to go outside. He was distraught. And so we went outside for a smoke, and we were sort of discussing, like, how crazy this was and what would happen. I remember I had the Trump board game from like 2004 somewhere in my parents' loft, right? So it's like that guy, my parents, from a board game in my parents' loft is gonna be president. This is crazy. And at that moment, a girl stumbled off a bus, and it seemed like she'd had a lot to drink. We sort of, she was, came and started, joking with us and stuff, and thought, oh, okay, maybe she just had a bit too much drink. We asked her if she was okay, if she needed anyone, if there was someone we could call, and she said everything was fine. But as
time went on, to keep a long story short, she started to say very weird things. She started to say, you know, I haven't slept in so long, I'm afraid to fall asleep. And started saying things that were nonsensical. And we eventually realized, we came to find out she was probably in the midst of a psychotic episode, whether it was drug related or something else, we don't know. So we ended up having to, it was already 4 a.m. at this point because we're watching the elections. Having to, she was paranoid people were coming to get her and stuff, we had to somehow get her to the right people without scaring her off and her running away. So we were already reeling after the Trump victory. You can imagine now that we're like, it's really crazy. So, and to top it off, just before, we managed to get in contact with her friends, and one of them came to pick us up. And as we were waiting, she grabbed my arm and said, is my mind going to be okay? I didn't know what to answer. Yeah. So yeah, I couldn't sleep that night, and this is the poem I wrote. This is democracy, like the mind is fragile, for Carolina and North Carolina. Cohesive parts that you take for granted can easily become decoupled. Past harmonies now dissonant. Giggles of elitism clash with the muffled cries of a shrinking middle class. Runaway free trade without a state sergeant, no emergent state of mind, just runaway tangents. Spool of Carolina's knitted soul being ripped and twisted. Am I being listened to? Are they coming to get me? My Twitter was hacked. Muslims are dangerous. They poisoned my meal, the Chinese took away steel. I feel like I had more tongue than I had. Political correctness has gone mad. My fingerprints are being stolen. All lives matter. America, oh land of plenty. I'm special. I can see further than most. Impregnated with the power of Heavenly Father, right out of Utah's hoo-ha. He called Rosie O'Donnell fat. Look at his hair. They know I see too much. 9/11 was a conspiracy, and these Washington bozos don't know. They don't know me. I'm not a deplorable or a basket case. He knows me. He knows me. I know him. He'll save me. As your mind melts, the sentiment felt changes in the Rust Belt. Pennsylvania megalomania, California dysphoria, small town paranoia. Thank you.
All right, our feature's about to come up here, Abe Becker, and I saw a video of him. This is not my first actual meeting, but we're going to have Christine Ngo here, and she got an opportunity to go to a really great workshop. She said, "Oh, I can't make it." I said, "Do you have somebody?" She said, "I have somebody." So she told me about this guy, and I wrote him an email, and he sent me a link, and I looked around, and I said, "Oh my God, this is going to be great." I was really impressed. I mean, the thing that I noticed is, he may disagree with this, but in the center of what he speaks about, there's the heart of the human matter as it approaches the circumstances surrounding the physical reality of who you are. He's heart-centered, in my opinion. I see that. I feel it. He can be exciting, he can be silly, he can be loud, crazy, and all these things, but in the center, there's an approach from the heart, from the center, from what's real. He doesn't fake it. He doesn't play around. Okay? Dave Becker, would you kindly come up?